Have you ever felt like you're too easily shaken? Does a single criticism keep you up at night? Does one failure make you question your worth? Is a streak of bad luck enough to make you want to give up? Maybe you've thought to yourself, why am I so weak? But the truth is, you're not weak. No one ever taught you how to build a mind strong enough to remain unshaken. This video is for you, the one fighting silent battles every day, the one who smiles on the outside but has broken down more times than they can count. And it's also for you, the one who, with the right tools, can build inner strength as solid as a mountain. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy, once helped people endure war, loss, and suffering, while staying rational, mastering their emotions, and moving forward with a calm no one could take from them. Today's journey won't offer empty motivational quotes. It will offer a way of life, one that helps you face any storm with quiet strength and deep composure, so powerful that even your silence becomes strength. And that journey begins now. Number 1, treat every day like a test. You step outside, and the world begins to test you, not with a written exam, but through everyday moments that seem trivial. Someone cuts in line. A friend doesn't reply to your message. Your partner seems distant. You get annoyed. You react. You think you're having a bad day, but the truth is, you just failed a test you didn't know you were taking. Stoic philosophy doesn't teach you to avoid these moments. It teaches you something deeper. To treat every day as an internal test, not to prove anything to anyone else, but to measure yourself. Are you steady or still shaken by things that shouldn't hold power over you? Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations to impress anyone. He wrote them for himself during war, illness, and betrayal. Each day he reminded himself, today I will meet people who are rude, selfish, and disloyal, but I'm ready for it. That sentence was his shield, not to block the blows, but so the blows wouldn't catch him off guard. Here's the thing. You can't avoid bad days, but you can train so they don't knock you down. Look at yourself today. Can you control the rain falling just when you forgot your jacket? Number. Can you control your boss snapping over something that's not your fault? Number, but can you control the breath you take before choosing how to respond? Yes. And that's the most important distinction in your inner life. What's in your control and what isn't? That's the dichotomy of control, the core of Stoic thought, and the compass that keeps you standing when the day tries to knock you over. When you start seeing life as a series of tests, you stop demanding that life be fair. Instead, you ask, what challenge am I being given today? Not to brace for disaster, but to build strength before it hits. A rideshare driver works 12-hour shifts. Some passengers never say thank you. Some complain for no reason. He could get bitter, curse his luck, but if each morning he steps into his car and quietly tells himself, today, my test is patience, then every difficult passenger becomes a training partner. He's no longer a victim. He's training his mind. This is a powerful shift. There are no bad days, only days with harder tests. You can try this right now, before work, before a tense meeting, before calling that relative who always gets under your skin. Pause and ask yourself, if this is a test, what am I being tested on? That one question can change your entire mindset. Epictetus once said, what upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about these things. The problem isn't what happens, it's the meaning you attach to it. A harsh comment can be an insult or a chance to practice humility. A delay can be a nuisance or a chance to observe yourself. Now take a few seconds. Look back. What test did you fail today? Was it a scowl in traffic? A sharp word to someone you love? A moment you gave up, even though you could have stayed calm? Mental strength doesn't appear while you're meditating in a quiet room. It's forged in the everyday, in the cold rice, the buzzing phone, the person pushing your buttons. And if you want to pass these tests, you need to start noticing the voice inside that's steering your reactions. That voice no one sees, but that determines everything. Mastering your self-talk. That's where we'll go next. Number 2, take control of your self-talk. You don't need to stand in front of a mirror shouting, "I'm strong," or "I can do this," to build mental toughness. True resilience isn't loud. It's built in the quiet, in the words you whisper to yourself when no one's watching. What do you tell yourself when you're late on a deadline? When your partner doesn't text back? When someone else gets the win? The strength of your mindset isn't shaped by big moments, but by the small, silent conversations you have with yourself every day. You take the elevator. Someone walks in looking annoyed. Instantly, your brain goes, "They must hate me." You post something online. No one likes it. "I must be boring." Someone gives you a little feedback. "They think I'm dumb." None of this is reality. It's all just assumptions. The problem isn't that you overthink. It's that you believe what you think. Negative self-talk is like a dirty lens you wear daily without realizing it. Everything gets warped, and the longer you leave it on, the blurrier it becomes. The Stoics understood this early on. They didn't try to control the whole world. They focused on controlling the loudspeaker inside their own minds, because they knew pain doesn't come from what happens, but from the story you tell yourself about it. You might say, "But I don't choose what thoughts show up." That's true. You can't stop a stranger from entering your house, but you can choose not to serve them tea. Thoughts will come. That's natural. Believing them and letting them run your emotions? That's the habit to break. Take Nathan, for example. Nathan's a quiet software engineer. Steady job, solid skills. But in meetings, even when he had good ideas, he kept quiet. One sentence always ran through his head. "If I speak up and I'm wrong, it'll be embarrassing." Every time he left the room wishing he'd said something, but nothing changed. Then one day, a younger colleague spoke up with the exact idea Nathan had, and got praised for it. That's when he realized it wasn't his ability holding him back. It was a sentence in his head, one he'd been repeating for years. From that day on, whenever that thought returned, "If I speak up and I'm wrong," he added. But staying silent changes nothing. Slowly, he began speaking up. Not always perfectly, but he broke the loop. Just like Nathan, you've got a sentence you repeat to yourself too. Try this. After something hard happens, pause for 5 seconds and ask, "If someone else told me this story, what would I say to comfort them?" Odds are, you'd be kinder to them than you are to yourself, so why not say it to you? Here's a simple way to start. Pick one sentence, just one, that you want to become the foundation of your mindset. Write it down. Read it at night. Read it in the morning. Don't pick something flashy. Pick something real, like, "I'm not perfect, but I'm making progress." When things go sideways, whisper that to yourself. You don't have to shout it. Your mind doesn't need pressure, just reminders. You'll be surprised. One quiet sentence, repeated long enough, can change how you see the world. And once your mind knows how to guard itself from the hits that come from inside, it can start to guard itself from the pressure that comes from outside. with one powerful word most people avoid: no. That's where we'll go next. Number 3. The power of saying no. Strength doesn't always come from doing more, saying more, or holding on tighter. Sometimes real strength lies in the courage to say no. Think back. How many times have you said yes just to avoid upsetting someone, to avoid being left out, or simply to escape guilt? A colleague asks you to help after hours, and you say, "Sure," while your inner voice is screaming, "Enough." In moments like that, it's not just your time you're giving away. You're selling off your mental freedom. Stoic philosophy doesn't teach us to be cold or cut off from others. It teaches us that nothing is worth more than inner peace. When Epictetus said, "If a person gave away your body to some passerby, you'd be furious, yet you hand over your mind to anyone who comes along," he was driving home one truth: your mind is your final territory, and saying no is how you protect its borders. It sounds simple, but try turning down your boss's dinner invite, an exciting project you no longer have the energy for, or a date that only fills the loneliness. It's not easy. Yet these are the moments that reveal who you really are. Are you living by your values, or just going along out of fear of being left behind? This isn't selfishness, it's inner discipline. The power of no lies in the space it creates. Space to think, to breathe, to choose what matters, not just what's available. Like fasting, not punishing the body, but teaching it that it doesn't need to react to every hunger pang. Saying no is the same. It's how you train your mind to know that not everything deserves your attention, and not everyone deserves a spot on your calendar. Interestingly, Nietzsche, who wasn't even a Stoic, once said, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." That is the nature of living creatures. If you don't take charge of yourself, someone else will. And sometimes it's not even a person. It's expectation, insecurity, or fear of rejection that ends up running your life. So ask yourself, how much of what you're doing right now is simply because you didn't say no? Whose life are you really living? Here's one simple yet powerful practice. Before you respond to any request, pause for 3 seconds. Don't react. In that pause, ask yourself, does this align with my core values? If not, say no, politely but firmly. That's not arrogance. That's your mind declaring independence. We often think strength means putting up with more, but sometimes strength is in cutting away. Like a blacksmith striking metal, every hit removes the excess and reveals the essential. Your mind is the same. The more you master the art of refusal, the sharper, freer, and more unshakable it becomes. And if something in these words strikes a nerve, some part of you you've been avoiding, then stay. Subscribe to this channel. Let each video here be a nudge calling you back to yourself. Clearer, steadier, and less likely to be swept away by the crowd. Number 4, cut expectations. There's a truth most people don't want to admit. Much of the pain we experience in life doesn't come from our circumstances. It comes from the gap between reality and expectation. You expect people to be kind and feel let down when they're not. You expect plans to go smoothly and feel frustrated when they fall apart. You expect yourself to always be strong and feel ashamed when you're not. And so, we trap ourselves in a mental cage of our own making, a trap called expecting too much. Let me tell you about David, a 38-year-old man working in advertising. He was disciplined, sharp, and highly respected at his firm. David set a goal to become creative director by the age of 40. He gave it everything. Long hours, no personal life, constant achievements. But when he turned 39, the role went to someone else. Younger, less experienced, but better at pleasing the boss. David was crushed, not because of the job, but because he felt betrayed. The world hadn't rewarded his effort. He was angry, lost, disillusioned. That was the clash between reality and expectation. But then, one Saturday afternoon, David came across a quote by Epictetus. "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." He paused, and for the first time in weeks, he asked himself, "Why did I believe the world owed me anything?" From that moment, David started over. He didn't abandon his goals, but he changed his approach. He began acting without expecting, delegating without needing praise, contributing without craving recognition. And something strange happened. When he stopped demanding outcomes, his mind felt lighter. He worked for the value of the act itself, no longer chained to the result. What about you? How many times have you suffered not because of what happened, but because you thought it shouldn't have happened? Your mind isn't weak because you lack ability, but because you've tied yourself to expectations you can't control. Like a sailor waiting for calm seas instead of learning to row through storms. The fewer your expectations, the greater your freedom. Freedom from disappointment, anger, and self-blame. This idea isn't new. In the Bible, the book of Proverbs says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick." Unmet expectations wound the heart because they are emotional investments in things beyond your control. If you want to try living one day without expectations, try this tomorrow. In any situation, a message that goes unanswered, a rude comment, something not going your way, pause and ask, "Am I hurting because of what happened, or because I think it shouldn't have happened?" That simple question is the doorway out of autopilot and into conscious presence. No one teaches you this in school, but it's the foundation of a mind that's unshakable. When you stop expecting, you begin to see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. And from there, nothing can throw you off balance. When you let go of expectations, you're not just cutting the rope that ties your mind to illusions. You're finally able to see your pain clearly, without distortion, without blame. And in that clarity, you begin to learn something deeper. Suffering isn't your enemy. It's raw material. The question is, will you let it break you or forge you? Number 5, make pain work for you. Have you ever dropped your phone? Just yesterday, a friend of mine dropped his iPhone. The screen shattered and the frame bent. He picked it up, stared at it for a few seconds, then laughed. "Well, I guess I'll be more careful with it now." No complaints, no rush to get it fixed. He looked at the cracks like they were trying to teach him something. And in that moment, I thought, this is Stoicism, using the cracks to remind yourself to grow up. Pain in life works the same way. It hits without warning, like a sudden fall, a breakup, a failed project, a hurtful comment. Our first instinct is usually to resist. Why me? But if you pause, step back, and breathe, you'll realize this is a rare chance for your mind to grow stronger, because no strength is forged in comfort. A CEO loses his company and sits alone in an empty office. He can drown in regret, or he can pick up a pen and write down the lesson he just paid everything to learn. Someone who's been betrayed can shut down emotionally or learn to love without losing themselves. Every choice shapes your mind. We all fall, but few learn how to fall without breaking. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." No stone shines without grinding. No person grows without hardship. So why are we afraid of pain? Maybe because we've gotten used to thinking everything should go smoothly. Every rejection, every disappointment, it's an unexpected opportunity to sharpen your inner strength. The question is, will you notice it? A friend of mine was fired just after New Year's. He panicked and felt worthless. But instead of complaining, he started journaling each day of his unemployment, how he felt, what lifted him up, what he learned. 6 months later, he landed a better job. More importantly, he had a record of how he didn't fall apart. Try this the next time you face a shock, a loss, a failure, or harsh words. Don't react right away. Pause. Observe your emotions like you're watching someone else. Write down 3 things you can learn from that moment. Then check back in a week, a month. Does it still feel as bad? Usually not. Usually, you'll find you've changed. You're tougher, wiser, and less afraid. We often think resilience is something we need to train for in the mental gym. But life gives you workouts every day. A kid crying after falling off a skateboard. A woman learning to sleep alone after a divorce. A driver slumped over the wheel after losing a big deal. That's life. And that's where Stoicism begins. Have you ever felt so weak you couldn't stand up? Good. Because only those who've hit the ground know what strength really feels like. It's not about not hurting. It's about choosing to move forward anyway, one small step at a time, but never stopping. If you're still here, congratulations. Not because you've learned a philosophy, but because you're laying a foundation for yourself. Tap like as your way of saying, I choose not to run from pain, and stick around. Each part that follows adds another missing piece to build a mind that stands like stone. There's more coming, and you won't want to miss it. Number 6, escape the herd mentality. There's a kind of pressure no one sees, yet it quietly shapes nearly everything we do. The pressure to fit in. When all your friends are rushing to invest in crypto, when social media floods your feed with curated lives of luxury and success, when it seems like everyone is winning at life, do you ever pause for a moment and ask yourself, am I living for me or just trying not to fall behind? Breaking free from herd mentality is one of the hardest steps in building inner strength, a kind of resilience that doesn't crumble under the weight of the world. Epictetus once said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Growth takes guts, not because you're ignorant, but because you're brave enough to be different. Modern society might not stone the outliers anymore, but it has a subtler form of punishment: quiet isolation. Say no to drinks with colleagues, and you're distant. Choose not to post your life online, and you're unmotivated. But ask yourself this: what truly brings you peace? A life validated by others, or an inner world that doesn't need applause? In a herd-driven world, clarity looks like weirdness. But that weirdness is the first breath of freedom. The existentialist Søren Kierkegaard once wrote, "The crowd is untruth." The crowd doesn't define reality. Each person is responsible for their own life. No one can live it for you. Try this. The next time everyone rushes to do something, buy, post, join, chase, don't. Just stop. Watch. Ask yourself, if no one saw me doing this, would I still want to do it? That question is a sharp mental cleanse. It cuts away automatic habits. It creates space where real choices can be made. What's surprising is that once you slow down, you'll realize the crowd rarely knows where it's going. Most people aren't following a direction. They're just trying not to feel lost. Like people aimlessly walking in a mall. They're not going anywhere specific. They're just moving. So maybe you're not being left behind. Maybe you've just stepped out of the loop. Escaping the herd mindset doesn't mean becoming antisocial. It means learning to pause, to ask if the current is really yours to follow. No one can build a mind of stone if they let their thoughts drift like leaves in a stream. And once you're strong enough to stand still in the middle of the storm, you'll finally be able to look farther ahead, toward the long road, the real destination. Not what's trending today, but what still matters 10 years from now. That's when long-term thinking kicks in. And that's how you start shrinking your worries down to size. Number 7, think long-term. What's keeping you up at night? An unanswered email, tomorrow's meeting, a recent rejection. These things may seem small, but when they pile up, they stretch your mind thin, like a taut wire. It's not tragedy that breaks most people. It's the slow, constant drip of pressure. And the way to stop it isn't by thinking positive. It's by learning to think long-term. Long-term thinking is the most powerful weapon against anxiety. Not because it erases problems, but because it reframes them. Ask yourself, will this thing I'm panicking about still matter in 10 years? 90% of the time, the answer is no. And just realizing that can lift a massive weight off your shoulders. Have you ever noticed the most grounded people aren't necessarily the luckiest? They're the ones who know how to separate what's temporary from what truly lasts. Like mountain climbers, they don't fixate on every sharp rock underfoot. Their eyes stay on the peak. The pain is still there, but it doesn't stop them. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." It's true. An unpaid bill won't destroy you, but spiraling into thoughts about bankruptcy just might. Let me tell you about Mike, a Mexican man living in Austin, Texas. He worked in a supermarket warehouse, earning just enough to get by. 6 days a week, he'd come home and collapse into bed. He once said, "I feel like a tiny gear in a giant machine. I wake up late and come home drained, with nothing left for myself." Then his wife got pregnant. During one checkup, the doctor said the baby was a bit weak and suggested reducing stress at home. Mike went home and, for the first time in years, asked himself, "If I keep living like this for another 10 years, who will I become?" So he made a plan. Cut back on work hours, switch to an early shift, and take evening classes in electronics repair. People laughed. "You're quitting a full-time shift to study? That's crazy." But Mike stayed quiet because he knew exactly what he was doing. 3 years later, he opened a small repair shop, had time to pick up his child from school, and no longer fell asleep at the dinner table. Mike said, "I'm still not rich, but for the first time, I feel like I'm living, not just being dragged through life." If you're feeling overwhelmed by everything that seems urgent right now, take a step back and ask, will this still matter in 5 years? If the answer is not sure, then maybe it's not worth your mental peace today. Instead of trying to control everything, choose a direction meaningful enough that every day, good or bad, moves you forward. Start simple. Every night, write down one thing you did today that your future self will thank you for. Just one. That tiny habit builds a powerful mindset, and more importantly, a mental resilience that nothing can shake. Number 8, redefine success and failure. There's a rare and quiet kind of success, the ability to look at what others see as failure and feel calm. Not because you're indifferent, but because you've refused to let someone else define success for you. A lot of people think they're living their dream when really, They're just following a pre-written script. Graduate early, land a prestigious job, get promoted fast, marry someone stable, buy a house, have kids. If you fall behind that timeline, you're seen as lagging. But who wrote that timeline? And more importantly, does it actually fit you? A friend of mine, a top university graduate, quit his banking job to open a motorcycle repair shop. Everyone thought he had failed, but I've never seen someone go to work each day with such fire in their eyes. He knew exactly what success meant for him: to touch something real, to see results from his own hands, not from KPIs or quarterly bonuses. Then there's a single mom I know. No degree, no flashy startup. But every evening, she reads to her child with full presence. For her, success is raising a child who feels safe, kind, and happy. The question is, are you brave enough to write your own definition of success? Take a familiar moment. Someone gets rejected after a job interview. Most people would call it a failure. But look again. It's a lesson in feedback, communication, and resilience. So the real question becomes, will you let a temporary setback define your worth? Or will you use it to sharpen who you are? Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. If he had treated failure as his identity, we'd still be living in the dark. Here's the powerful thing. The more personal and internal your definition of success becomes, the more unshakable you are. The Stoics never measured themselves by outcomes, but by effort. To them, the greatest victory was mastery over the self, staying calm when misunderstood, keeping promises even when no one's watching, being grateful even through loss. These things don't win applause, but they forge a mind of steel. And that is real success. So how do you apply this? Start by rewriting your definition of success, clearly and honestly, for yourself. Not what you think others want to hear, but what genuinely aligns with your values. Each morning, look at that definition and ask, what's one small action I can take today to live this out? It doesn't have to be dramatic. A truthful word, a moment of patience, a well-timed no. Every day is a brick in your inner fortress. There's a line in Ecclesiastes: better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, and the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. In a world obsessed with showcasing results, Stoicism invites us to honor the journey and the quiet endurance it demands. Instead of racing to the finish line, ask yourself, am I on the right path? Don't wait for applause. Don't wait to be labeled successful to allow yourself joy. Choose to live true, day by day, decision by decision. And once you know you're on the right path, there's no need for noise. Just keep going. Number 9, be silent. Take action. Repeat. There's a kind of power that doesn't make noise, doesn't seek the spotlight, and doesn't crave praise. The power of quiet perseverance. In a world where everyone's trying to shout the loudest to get noticed, the one who stays silent and keeps moving forward is quietly building an unshakable mind. That silence isn't avoidance. It's the stillness where the sword is sharpened, the darkness where a seed quietly breaks ground. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, are you trying to prove something to others, or just to yourself? The ancient Greeks told the story of Zeno, founder of the Stoic school, who lost everything in a shipwreck. He didn't complain. He didn't broadcast his pain. He simply studied, lived, and eventually taught. No shouting, no plea for justice, just quiet, consistent action. And through that, he became one of the most influential minds in the history of philosophy. His response to catastrophe wasn't just a belief system, It was a living example of inner strength that could not be shaken. That spirit isn't locked in dusty philosophy books. It lives on today in the arenas of modern sport. At the highest levels of competition, what the world sees is the glory, the goal, the record, the medal. But what makes a champion isn't the moment of victory. It's the thousands of quiet hours before it. Take Novak Djokovic. In his early career, no one expected anything from him. No noise, no hype, just relentless training. He ate clean when no one cared, meditated when few understood it, and slept early while rivals partied. He stayed quiet. He kept going. He kept repeating. The result? A mind of steel, performing under crushing pressure without falling apart. Booed by crowds, wronged by referees, playing through pain, but never breaking. What if you trained your mind like you train a muscle? How strong could you become? If every day you choose one right thing, a small act, and do it without showing off, you're laying down concrete for your mental foundation. Not through speeches, but by running in the rain, studying when you're tired, focusing even when no one is watching. These are the gym sessions of the mind. The Stoics didn't believe in promises, they believed in repeated actions. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Do what's right. Speak what's true. No excuses, no detours." But here's what most don't say. Repeating what's right silently is the hardest thing of all. Here's a bitter paradox. The more someone says they're changing, the less they usually are. The true Stoics make adjustments within, without needing external validation. So today, if emotions pull you off track or stress throws you off balance, ask yourself, can I choose one right action right now? Just one. Do it. Don't tell anyone. Then do it again tomorrow. Repeat until your mind no longer needs applause, because you already know who you are. You can't control what life throws at you, but you can build your mind like a stone wall, not through declarations, but through a silent series of relentless actions. Stop announcing change. Change is in your hands, not your mouth. If you truly want an unshakable mind, don't wait. Start now. Keep going like an athlete training for the final match of their life. We've just explored 9 principles together, not as dry instructions, but as quiet building blocks for a resilient mind. Each lesson isn't isolated. They're threads that pull you back to yourself. How you start your day, how you speak to yourself, how you respond to failure, and how you keep going even when no one is watching. A strong mind isn't built in moments of glory, but in the times you choose calm over anger, discipline over indulgence, understanding over reaction. Stoicism doesn't turn you into someone emotionless. It makes you unshakable, unmoved by the crowd, unfazed by what's out of your control. It doesn't promise an easy life. It gives you the strength to move forward no matter what. If something in this video made you reflect, leave a comment. We read every single one, not just to reply, but to understand where you are on your journey. And if you want to keep growing inner strength with us, hit subscribe. Not because you need another video, but because sometimes all it takes is one right sentence at the right moment to keep you going. Thank you, and see you next time. Because the final lesson is always this: silence, action, repeat. No need to say much. Just do it, and let the results speak for themselves.